This morning, our message will come from the book of Romans, chapter 13. I'll be reading to you Romans 13, verse number 11. Verse number 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. Reading that again. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. It is high time to wake out of our sleep. This morning I want to talk a little while and use for a subject today, a wake-up call from God. A wake-up call from God. This morning I'll speak briefly and talk about that wake-up call, because I want to believe that all of us at one time or another have received a wake-up call in our life. A wake-up call meaning that have given us opportunity to wake up and start a new day, or a wake-up call can be anything that may have gotten our attention, and somebody say, or even your conscience will tell you, you know what, there was a wake-up call for you. There was a wake-up call for me. So we all at one time or another have received a wake-up call in life. Also for me, if you haven't received a wake-up call in your life, I commend you, and I pray to God that you don't have to reach that point. But I do know the message today that God has a wake-up call for us all. Just in case you haven't had a wake-up call with a life experience, I want to say that perhaps you have had a wake-up call while traveling. During traveling times, and we still spend the night at a hotel, it always gives us an opportunity to sleep longer. Sermon's text this morning says it's time to wake up out of our sleep, and I want to share this because a lot of times when we stay at a hotel, it gives us opportunity. If we're going to spend the night and we need to be somewhere the next day, we have an opportunity to press a button. We have an opportunity to place a call up front. And with that being said, we are requesting a wake-up call. I hope you all have gotten a wake-up call, because it gives me opportunity to preach this message a little bit easier. After arriving in our room, one of the first things I do to ensure that I'm awake for the next day, I go ahead and press that button that says wake-up call. And if the phone is not equipped with that, I go ahead and place a call to the front desk asking someone to give me a wake-up call. What are you talking about? What I'm saying, when we do that, it's very important. I didn't realize it is in deep detail until I got the message this morning. When we are called at front desk, or when we press that button on that phone, we are putting the responsibility in somebody else's hand to wake me up. I know that I need to be somewhere that morning. I know I need to be in class. I know I need to be on the road that next morning at a certain time. But even in knowing that, I put the responsibility on somebody else. Yeah, that's the way the world have it set up. It's part of your hotel stay. Oh, come on in and stay. Well, how that button press, what you have to do is press that button, and we'll wake you up. We'll wake you up to get you started on that new day. And now, if that phone, we put the responsibility in that person that's working on that front desk to wake up. And I can tell you this, I placed that call before, and they have forgotten to give me a wake-up call. I placed that call before, and the alarm has forgotten to go off. But I still wake up. I'm awake, and wait a minute, wasn't I supposed to have a wake-up call? So with that being said, even though we place that responsibility in the hand of that technology, place that responsibility in the hand of that front clerk, they too can still forget to give you a wake-up call. I'm so glad this morning that this message of God has a wake-up call for you. God has a wake-up call for me. God has a wake-up call for all his children this morning, meaning that we're not putting the responsibility on somebody else, but we're putting the responsibility upon ourselves to wake up, to start that new day. Think about that. It's going to give you a new day that you haven't seen before. And we're going to put that in the responsibility of someone else. Put that in the responsibility of a program voice message. that I need you to wake me up. And it's funny because you wake up and you'll call and you place that call to the front desk. And once you place that call to the front desk, you can go ahead and relax. You have a little sense of security. Not only can you relax, you can go ahead and, I'm going to stay up late because I got a wake up call. I don't have to worry about getting up because I put their responsibility on somebody else to wake me up. Not only can you relax, not only you have an opportunity to sleep late, but you also have an opportunity to sleep hard. Anybody know anything about sleeping hard? I call it one of them deep sleeps. Oh, I must have really been tired because I really slept. So it gives you the opportunity to fall into that deep sleep, knowing that you have set an appointment, giving that responsibility to someone else. This morning, church, not only that, technology have made it. When we was growing up, used to be a clock on the wall. I used to have a little clock that you sit on the side of your bed and you pull the back of the clock and the alarm would go up until you push the button back in. But technology have become so great in what they do now. Say, well, you know what? You can wake up to your favorite song. You can wake up to your all types of sounds, reality, and think about it. 90% of the time, it's going to work for you. Your wake up call will come 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. This is your wake up call. This is your wake up call. Think about it. God has given us a wake up call today. That wake up call that we place in the hands of others has given us the opportunity to sleep hard, has given us the opportunity to relax, have given us the opportunity to stay up late. This morning our message says it's time for us to wake up out of our sleep. Have to wonder that God's children have been sleeping too long. The message says today is wake up call is giving us we must have to wonder that if that's not what's wrong with the world today. Too many of God's people are still asleep. Too many of God's people are not only asleep, but perhaps too many of God's people are still asleep on God's program. Too many of God's people are still asleep on God's and God on their Christian journey. The Bible says in verse 11, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of your sleep. Right now is a time, high time, to wake out of your sleep. For now is your salvation nearer than ever before when we first believed. Perhaps this is why God has given us this message today, a wake-up call from God. Perhaps his children are still sleeping, has become content with that sleep. And we all also reminded that our wake-up call can come in more ways than one. Make no mistake about it, sleep is good. Sleep is good and essential, but we also need to know that we can sleep too long. Sometimes we can lay in the bed and we say, I know I need to get up. You can sleep semi-conscious, you're awake, or you fall, you can wake, you can get up, or you can fall back into a deeper sleep. I owe it to me, I'm going to go ahead and sleep a little bit longer. Perhaps is this the problem? God's children are sleeping too long. This morning we are reminded that a wake-up call can come in more ways than one. Our wake-up call can come in many forms. Sometimes our wake-up call can come from our spouse, meaning that wake up, you haven't been taking care of the family. Don't necessarily say wake up, but you may tell your spouse that you haven't been taking care of the family like you used to. Wake-up call can come by you haven't been providing for the family like you used to. The wake-up call can come in a form that you haven't been cleaning, you haven't been cooking, you haven't been doing the laundry like you used to. There's many forms of a wake-up call. Sometimes we can get a wake-up call from a boss that you haven't been working good like you used to. You haven't been on time like you used to. Many forms of a wake-up call. Sometimes our wake-up call can come from a mistake. We don't use that tool to fix that. That's the wrong tire that you put on. It can come, wake-up call can come through many forms today. I'm trying to paint a picture today, but we also need to know that the most critical thing, second to get our message from God, is that sometimes our wake-up call can come from a close call. As I said earlier, a wake-up call can come from a near accident. Sometimes a wake-up call can come from a near-death experience. Sometimes a wake-up call can come by trying something new, by venturing out. Sometimes a wake-up call can come through a friend or come through experience. But I'm so glad today that God said, I have given you all a wake-up call. This wake-up call is from God. God has a wake-up call for you. God has a wake-up call for me. And we can't allow wake-up calls to be a close call for us for God to get our attention. Wake-up calls can come from teachers, letting you know your grades are falling down. So wake-up call, I need to step up. I need to start studying more if I expect to pass. Sometimes it can come from a doctor. We checked your test and come out good. Your blood sugar or your many different things, however it may be. Sometimes a wake-up call can come through a doctor. There's many forms of a wake-up call that you can receive, that I can receive. But this morning, this is a wake-up call from God. God is sending us this message today to alert us. God is sending us this message today to wake us up. As it said earlier, the time that now it is high time to wake up out of our sleep. He has given us a wake-up call to get us out of this worldly sleep that we may be in. We all know that sleep is good. As I said earlier, sometimes sleep is so good, the more you get, the more you want. I'm not the only one guilty of that. Sometimes the more sleep we get, the more sleep we want. It is so good that it can let us sleep too long. Thanks be unto God that he is stepping in today to make sure that we don't sleep too long. Deacon Mathis had a song that was one of his favorite songs, Wake Me, Shake Me, Don't Let Me Sleep Too Long. This morning we need to know that God don't want us to sleep too long. God is telling us today that he want to wake us up. God is giving us a wake-up call. He's waking us up to be a better Christian. A wake-up call to be a better person. A wake-up call to wake us up to a new you, to a new me. Wake-up call to a new life. Behold, all things can become new in your life through this wake-up call that God is presenting to us. God has given us a wake-up call to serve him more, a wake-up call to love him more, a wake-up call to be more about his Father's business. God has his alarm is sending off today. Like that alarm you heard, I was talking about your hearing, it can come through music, it can come through your favorite song, it can come through certain sounds. But the alarm sound that God is sending today is through his word. Verse 11, now it is high time to awake out of your sleep. This is the alarm that God is sending today. God is sounding this alarm at Good Hope and Bartlett. He's sounding this alarm in Granger, Gerald, and Taylor. He's sounding this alarm throughout every state and throughout the world today to let his children know it's time to come out of their hard sleep. It's time for them to wake up and get back on the battlefield for the Lord. And we also need to know that, and when you read God's word, please know this today, that Peter slept. The disciples went to sleep. Jonah went to sleep. Many fallen into deep sleep in the Bible. But God had a wake-up call for them. God had to wake them up through many different revenues. Sometimes God woke them up through a close call. We need to know this morning we don't want our wake-up call to be a close call. We don't want our wake-up call to be a near-death call. We don't want our wake-up call to be a boss call or a spouse call or what we want. We want a worldly call, wake-up call. God is sending us, sending you, sending me, sending the world a wake-up call today. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us wake and put on the light. Let our light shine. Let us wake up. And today, you need to know there's a song that states, God is tenderly calling. Not like that loud alarm clock that we set and then we don't want to hear it because it's too loud. Not that alarm clock that we set and the music come on and we set it and we get mad when it go off. But God is tenderly tenderly calling. He's tenderly calling, "Oh sinner, come home." He's tenderly calling, "Oh saints, come home." Not that loud alarm, but tenderly calling. He's tenderly calling for us to wake up out of our sleep. Oh, what a mighty good God we serve. God has an alarm for us today. God has a message today. This is our wake-up call today. What is that wake-up call? That wake-up call is to be like Christ. That wake-up call is to love like Christ. Are you being like Christ in your walks of life? Are you loving like Christ on a daily basis? Are you loving everybody like Christ loved? This is a wake-up call today. Not only to wake up like Christ, not only to love like Christ, but as a wake-up call to forgive like Christ. Perhaps you are still sleeping on forgiving. This morning, this is a wake-up call for you to forgive. A wake-up call to help you serve Christ. Perhaps you're having a problem serving Christ, sleeping too long. This is a wake-up call to get you back to serving Christ. This morning, we need to know that the hour has come. We need to know that the time has come for us to recognize that God is sending you a wake-up call today to make a difference in you. A wake-up call today to make a difference through you in the lives of others. Verse 11, coming to a close. Verse 11 reminds us that it's high time to wake up out of our sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than we first believed. I didn't add these two verses, but I'm going to end these two verses today. Verse 12, the Bible says, "The night is far spent. The day is at hand." Here is your workup call for God. It is sending us, verse 12 and 13, to wake up. Let us cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Verse 13, let us wake up and walk honestly, as in the day, not in rioting, not in drunkenness, not in chambering, not in wantoning, not in strife, not in envy, but let us wake up and get dressed. Let us wake up and get dressed. What are you talking about, Pastor? We wake up and we put on Jesus Christ. Don't just wake up, but wake up and get dressed. Put on Jesus Christ. And when I say put on Jesus Christ, you're going to be met with many different choices. You're going to be met by many different people. You're going to be met with many different circumstances. You're going to be met with problems. Every day is not a good day. Every day you're not going to feel the best. But when you wake up, you're going to put on Jesus Christ. Put on Jesus Christ. And if you put on Jesus Christ, you can rest assured that everything going to be all right. Because when you put on Jesus Christ, when you're faced with those oppositions, these are some questions we need to ask ourselves when we wake up and put on Jesus Christ. What would Jesus do? Think about it. You're going to be faced with some things. You need to ask yourself, now, what would Jesus do? Then, what would Jesus say? So many times we may have the wrong word. Sometimes we may let this little tongue get in the way of saying the wrong thing. So we have to put on, what would Jesus say? Wake up and put on Jesus. Who would Jesus help? So many times we want to pick and choose. Just our families, just our close ones, just those that have done for us. Who would Jesus help? Jesus helped everybody. You're putting on Jesus. And then the next, who would Jesus forgive? We need to forgive others as Jesus has forgave us. Put on Jesus. When you put on Jesus, I can assure you, I promise you, what better choices you will make, what better life you will live. And then, where would Jesus go? So many times, I won't go over there. I don't go on that side of town. I don't go to that state. I don't go to this city. I don't go. But think about it. You put on Jesus. Where would Jesus go? Jesus has said, put you on a mission, highways and byways. Go where thus said, Lord, where you send me, I will go. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where would Jesus go? Wake up, get dressed, and put on Jesus. What friends did Jesus have? What friends did Jesus have? So many times, yeah, this is not my friend. I don't even know. I don't associate with them. I don't even. What friends did Jesus have? What friends did Jesus have? church and listen today. This is your message today. This is your wake-up call from God. Get up. Wake up. Don't sleep long. God is sending you a wake-up call. And not only just wake up, but put on Jesus. Put on Jesus Christ in your life. This is our wake-up call from God. Wake up and be about God's business. May God bless you this hour. Pray and trust that you will not only hide this word in your heart, but you will share this message with someone else. May you be richly blessed this hour. God bless you.